Okay, today I want to talk about what is ecology and then get into the nitty-gritty of how we really can define an ecosystem. All right, so let's move to looking at a definition of ecology here. So ecology can be defined as the study of interactions between organisms and their environment. So that brings up the question, what is the environment? So the environment includes abiotic factors, physical factors like temperature, humidity, pH, a range of other kinds of non-living or abiotic factors, as well as the biological organisms or the biota, the biotic factors that are part of the environment. So when we think about what the environment is, what ecologists are interested in is how do these interactions between living organisms and other organisms and the physical environment, how do these interactions determine where you find different species on the planet and how many of them might be there. And that's what we mean by the distribution and abundance of organisms. Whoops, wrong way. Okay, so an ecosystem has these components that we just talked about, the abiotic, and I want you to think about the different examples of abiotic factors. As we come back to class, we'll talk more about that. And then the biotic component. And we can divide, in general, ecosystem ecologists divide the living organisms of an ecosystem into these three compartments: producers, consumers, and decomposers. Okay, so first of all, what are producers? Well, producers produce something. Generally, we think of producers as producing food or energy for other organisms within the ecosystems, and of course producing energy for themselves as well. So primarily we're thinking about green plants and algae, or what we call phytoplankton, those kinds of organisms that are capable of capturing sunlight energy and using that energy to convert small inorganic compounds into these large organic molecules. Okay, so it's really an amazing thing when you think about it, that these organisms are capable of taking sunlight energy and using that to take these small molecules. So think about little beads on a string. So they have the energy that it takes to attach all of these small little inorganic compounds into the large organic molecules, such as proteins or carbohydrates, that are these big molecules that are like all of the beads attached on a big string, and even more convoluted than that. And this process that you've probably already realized is what we term as photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is this ability for these organisms that can convert sunlight energy into large organic molecules. And of course this is what we call photosynthesis, and organisms that are capable of doing this are referred to as autotrophic. All right, and I put a notation down at the bottom of this list here that this also can include some chemosynthetic bacteria, because chemosynthetic organisms actually use chemical energy to do the same sort of thing, convert inorganic compounds into large organic molecules. But you know what? We're not gonna worry so much about these guys, although it's really fascinating, and in fact it's an important thing to think about for marine biologists, because this happens in the depths of the ocean. All right, but mostly we're talking about where sunlight penetrates into the water column or in terrestrial environments, and so photosynthesis is the main way that organisms get energy. So this equation summarizes the overall reactions that are involved in photosynthesis. And you may have seen this equation before. And one of the things to realize is that this is really a summary equation that summarizes dozens of biochemical reactions that occur across chloroplast membranes within cells, such as plant cells. So what we have here is we see carbon dioxide, which combines with water and using light energy to create glucose. Okay, in its most simple form, again, we see the creation of large organic molecules like beads on a string, glucose, and then eventually other carbohydrates, proteins, other kinds of biochemical macromolecules are created eventually after these initial reactions of photosynthesis. And also oxygen is produced, and oxygen really is just a byproduct of photosynthesis, not the main point.